you can see a lot of familiar windows. We have the project panel, which has our scenes and our puppets. We have our history panel, which has everything we've done thus far to build our puppet, or place our puppet, or animate our puppet. We have our triggers panel and our controls panel. Again, the controls panel will be used more for stream. I don't typically use it in record mode. It is nice if you're a visual person to see like what mouth shapes you need or what animation you're looking for. Like, oh yeah, that's right, this one's the happy, excited animation with the hands up. I remember that now. But I just use the triggers. I know that smile is a smile, sad is sad. But to each their own. Coming over here, this is our scene. This is like our live scene, and you can see that our puppet follows what I do. You can interact with your puppet here. We can change our background color so we can see her better with this little window down here. And going over, we also have Stream Live. You might need to install NDI to see this one. I'm not sure if that one will be visible all the time. We'll have a video going over NDI very soon. This will show our puppet mesh. This is useful for finding problems. You can see handles. You can zoom way in by dragging on this blue percentage, and you can see handles better and figure out where rig problems are wrong with that button. This button here will refresh your scenes. So say, you're playing with your puppet and they look really awkward. You can refresh your scene and they'll go back to looking normal. Down here is our typical buttons you would find when filming. You have a record button, which will record things. More on that in a second. You have a next frame jump, which will jump you over one frame. Play, stop, previous frame, and this is go to start, which will scrub you back to 0. Below this is our timeline. If we were to do a short little recording, and we'll drag her hand and we'll make her wave and we'll make her smile and she looks goofy. I love it. You can see what we record happens down here. There's me talking. Oh, hold on. You can't hear that. Let's make that so you can hear that. And we'll make her wave and we'll make her smile and she looks goofy. I love it. You can see every action we did was recorded. Over here we have our puppet tracked behaviors and our webcam. Let's go ahead and delete all of my recordings I did just now. So going over the webcam section, you see that we have a calibrate button. So I like to say every time I sit down or itch my nose or fix my hair because I have really long hair, as soon as I get settled, I'll click calibrate again. And that's just because any little imperfection on these puppets can really, especially with the head turn puppets, can be really, really troublesome. So before you record, you want to get in the habit of clicking calibrate. You can also likewise double click your webcam and it does the same thing. We have a webcam button. This will turn your webcam on and off. Body tracking button, which is good if your character has body tracking. I don't personally recommend body tracking. I'm not a big fan of that for recorded content. I like it for live content. More on that later. And then your microphone button, which will obviously turn your microphone off. Typically you want this off because as long as it's on, it'll record in your timeline. So if you're trying to record something else and you talk while you're recording it, it'll record your voice as long as it's on. So I usually turn it off by default. Below this, we have our puppet track behaviors. This is our properties panel. Our properties panel is where all the magic happens. We have body, dragger, eye gaze, all these awesome things, and we have a red dot next to them. The red dot means that they are on. If you click one, it turns off. Likewise, if you hold Control and click one, they all turn off. And you see now, no matter how much I move, this puppet does absolutely nothing. I can even turn body tracking on, and I'm getting no movement. So that's because these are like an on-off switch. So right now body's on, body's off, eye gaze is on. And then you can see we have options in there. So this eye gaze is controlled by camera input. Now it's controlled by mouse and touch input. And we'll see now it has like a, see how it snaps around? We'll click that and now snap is turned off. So this is where our magic happens. Whatever is armed with a red dot, so like we'll arm eye gaze and face. Okay, and now see, my arms aren't moving. If I were to turn draggers on, my arms would move with my eyes. But I turn draggers off, and now it's just my eyes. So let's click record. There we go. So we just did a short little recording of nothing but face and eye gaze. It looks like they're watching a bird overhead. And now we can turn face and eye gaze off and turn draggers on, jump back to 0. You can also do that by clicking this button here and then click record. And you can see we added in, once it loads, there we go, we added in that dragger handle on the hand. Jumping further into our timeline here, you can see we have these little white squares. This is what we do to ease in and out when we record. So you see we can drag these in on the end. And if you grab by the bottom, you can shorten or lengthen your take. And if you lengthen it further than it is, you'll get this like these hash marks. That means there's nothing there. So you don't want to see those hash marks. But we can shorten them. And then you can also right click and you can have, there's a lot of options here. Create replay and trigger. Create replay and trigger in swap set. So if you're building a swap set out, you can just add it straight to it, which is a pretty nice feature. And you can also add it to another trigger so they're tied together, or put it in there. And then you also have blend and curve. So right now we have ease in and out. And if we change it to just ease out, watch these angles on the left and right. See that? It's a very subtle change. But what that does is if we were to look at that more in depth, it'll make the movement happen. This one's going to happen quicker. Like it's going to start slower and then really take off. And then on this one, it's going to, well, this one's really going to take off and then move to slow. And then this one's going to start off slow and then really start to happen fast. Right here. So that's how you can ease in and out. That's just some of the basics. One more section I would like to go over in the next video is this top section. One more section I almost forgot to mention in the recording section is if you right click, this can also be viewed in the timeline up here, but if you right click this bar, which this bar is interactive, if we see here, we can, so it's a disabled work area right now. Now it's enabled. This is for working on sections. So say like scene 2 goes from 2 seconds to 4 seconds and scene 1 is 0 to 2. Right now we're working in this section. So if we play it through, you'll see the playhead, oops, well, if we remove that, the playhead will play through and then jump back. So we can see this one section we're working on over and over again. And you can even play from previous and then it'll loop. So you can kind of see how it goes through. And you can see we can do stuff here. We can trim scene to work area, which will cut everything else out. We can enable work area to start or end playhead. So like we can be like, right there where the jump happens. Set work area start to playhead. And there's a lot like trimming options. Set scene duration to playhead. So you see it makes it really short because I had it like right at the start. So that's what those options are.